All right, y'all. What's up, man? Good morning. Good morning. Check me out. Welcome to the podcast from Soul. Today we're going to be talking about the United States of America versus Jeffrey Paul Vappy and Latoya Cantrell. Case number 24-165 in the Eastern District of Louisiana. So this is public information. Podcast from Soul. Neither do I wish to slander, defame, or libel anybody as it relates to this case. We're going to be coming straight from the paperwork, and this is public information. So, I did the first video. That's my cat. That's Luna, y'all. I did the first video yesterday. The mayor in New Orleans and a police officer in New Orleans allegedly were involved in a intimate romantic relationship, and they were using public funds to fund, well, let me not say fund, they were using New Orleans monies to engage in personal activities related to their personal relationship. So what where we're going to pick up today, this is page 11. The interim superintendent of the New Orleans Police Department did an investigation and concluded that what Vappy and Mayor Cantrell was doing was misconduct, and he was going to publish it and make it known. I think he did. The mayor had a meeting with him. First, Vappy went to him and tried to get him or her to chill. Leave that alone. Don't publish that. You're only the interim superintendent. If you want to become the permanent superintendent, don't do that. Cantrell, the mayor, had a meeting with the interim superintendent, with Vappy there, with her alleged lover there, who's a cop. She's the mayor, and they're trying to pressure this superintendent, an interim superintendent, not to publish what he found out. He wouldn't. The superintendent wouldn't back down. The mayor informed the superintendent that they would not become the permanent superintendent, and these were some of the things that they were doing. So, let me see. The FBI gets wind of this. They go to Vappy's house, who's the cop, interview him for about an hour. He lies to them about the relationship, different things and questions they asked him about his relationship with the mayor. He lies. The mayor gets subpoenaed by a federal grand jury, creates an affidavit, signs it. The affidavit, allegedly, according to the indictment, is full of false statements, withholding of information, and outright lies. So this thing got pretty bad for them. The feds had been monitoring Vappy's computer, and they have evidence that he was online searching how to delete WhatsApp messages from WhatsApp. This is after the feds come and meet with him. They have him going online trying to find out where a local news reporter in New Orleans lives. They have him going online searching for a defense attorney near me. What else? There was a couple of other things. this is not good for neither one of them. Over 15,000 personal messages, voice notes, and pictures on WhatsApp between the two of them. All right, so let's get into it. Page 11 of 45. On or about November the 9th, 2022, a local New Orleans media outlet first broadcast reports regarding Vappy and his frequent and lengthy presence inside the Pontalba apartment along with Cantrell. So the mayor stays in an apartment in the French Quarter that's owned by the city of New Orleans. Somebody's been scoping Vappy out and Cantrell out, and they've noticed and saw that he's spending an inordinate amount of time in the mayor's apartment, while claiming to be on duty and submitting time cards to the New Orleans Police Department to get paid like he is on duty when he is at this apartment chilling. Another search that he conducted on his Google search was how to sweep an apartment. You know, him and Cantrell, Vappy and Cantrell discussed maybe they should have the mayor's apartment swept for listening devices and surveillance equipment and cameras. So they knew that the feds were on to him. Vappy was removed from the Executive Protection Unit and reassigned to another position within the New Orleans Police Department. On November the 14th, 2022, Vappy conducted numerous online searches for attorneys who specialize in the practice of criminal defense in the greater New Orleans area, including using the names of several attorneys and female defense attorney N.Y.C. June 2023, the interim superintendent of the New Orleans Police Department formally sustained the findings of an internal investigation that concluded Vappy committed misconduct as a member of the Executive Protection Unit. Shortly before doing so, the interim superintendent notified the mayor of his intent to sustain the proposed findings. Right after that, the mayor directed the interim superintendent to reassign Vappy back to the EPU, Executive Protection Unit. Acting on Cantrell's direction, on or about June 22nd, 2023, the interim superintendent did so. On September 11, 2023, the mayor informed the interim superintendent during an in-person meeting that the interim superintendent would not become the permanent superintendent of the New Orleans Police Department, and Vappy was at that meeting. 2 weeks later, the interim superintendent position was ended. It also mentions that after the mayor told the interim superintendent that they would not become the permanent superintendent, and with Vappy, her alleged boyfriend, her alleged lover, was at that meeting. After that, Vappy, the alleged boyfriend, goes out to have drinks with the interim superintendent to console him, or to like make him, to help him with his disappointment of not becoming the permanent superintendent. Check this out. April 15, 2024. a local New Orleans media outlet published a broadcast report about Vappy and Cantrell dining and consuming alcohol together during times that Vappy claimed to be on duty for the Executive Protection Unit. The reports included photographs of Vappy and Cantrell engaging in personal activities in public that were taken by New Orleans residents. So there was a person, a New Orleans taxpayer, a New Orleans resident, that was taking pictures and following these two around, monitoring her house. The mayor found out who it was, filed a police report against that New Orleans resident, alleging stalking, and she felt threatened. All of that is mentioned in the indictment. April 2024, Vappy is removed from the EPU again and reassigned to another position within the New Orleans Police Department. So this relationship between the cop and the mayor, one minute he's on the Executive Protection Unit. Then when shit gets hot, she removes him and he gets reassigned to another spot in the New Orleans Police Department. When things chill out, she reassigns him back to the Executive Protection Unit. Now he's getting removed back out of the Executive Protection Unit. May 9th, 2024, the mayor filed a police report that included non-public information and characterized the behavior of the New Orleans resident who took pictures of Vappy and Cantrell together in public as menacing, to the point that Cantrell was concerned for her safety. A day later, the mayor filed a petition for protection from stalking or sexual assault concerning the New Orleans resident who took pictures of Cantrell and Vappy, claiming that the resident had harassed Cantrell and was risking Cantrell's safety. A month later, Vappy resigns. He quits the New Orleans Police Department. Check it out. This is where we get busy. This is where it takes off. July 14, 2023, FBI agents with the special agents with the FBI interviewed Vappy at his residence in New Orleans, and Vappy made materially false statements to them. FBI agents also served Vappy with a subpoena issued by a federal grand jury sitting in the Eastern District of Louisiana. The July 14, 2023 subpoena required the production of, among other things, correspondence with Cantrell, the mayor, gifts that Vappy gave to the mayor, and pictures of gifts Vappy gave to the mayor. On or about July 18, 2023, a federal grand jury sitting in the Eastern District of Louisiana issued a subpoena to the mayor requiring the production of, among other things, communications, text, and electronic messages between Cantrell and Vappy, and documents concerning gifts that Vappy gave Cantrell. In response, the mayor, Cantrell, produced documents and a sworn affidavit containing false information. On or about May 31st, 2024, a federal grand jury issued another subpoena to Cantrell, requiring her appearance before the grand jury. A month later, Cantrell appeared before that federal grand jury in the Eastern District of Louisiana, was placed under oath, and she testified falsely. So both Vappy and Cantrell, both the cop and the mayor, when they were meeting with federal agents, FBI and in the federal grand jury, they both gave false statements or withheld information. So here they talk about the conspiracy. Here's the conspiracy. beginning at a time unknown, but not later than October 21st, continuing through June 29, 2024, almost 3 years. Jeff Vappy, LaToya Cantrell did knowingly and willfully combine, conspire, and agree to devise and intend to devise a scheme and artifice to defraud and obtain money and property from the city of New Orleans and the New Orleans Police Department by means of materially false and fraudulent pretenses, representations, and promises by use of interstate wire transmissions in violation of Title 18, United States Code Section 1343. So conspiracy is the first charge that they're both charged with. Vappy and Cantrell ate meals and consumed alcohol together at restaurants during periods Vappy claimed to be working on duty as a member of EPU. Vappy and Cantrell treated the Pontalba apartment as their personal shared residence. Cantrell often referred to it as our apartment when messaging Vappy. Vappy and Cantrell frequently coordinated spending time together inside the apartment during periods Vappy claimed to be on duty for the Executive Protection Unit. The mayor occasionally canceled scheduled work events to facilitate personal and intimate interactions with Vappy in the Pontalba apartment. Let's get back. This is where we talk about the interim superintendent. Vappy attempted to persuade the interim superintendent to exonerate him by telling the interim superintendent that it was the interim superintendent's opportunity to, quote unquote, make it right before the interim superintendent decided whether to censure Vappy. The mayor, Cantrell, convened a meeting which Vappy attended with the interim superintendent, where the mayor told the interim superintendent that she would not nominate him to serve as the permanent superintendent of the New Orleans Police Department. After the meeting, Vappy invited the interim superintendent to a daiquiri shop to discuss the interim superintendent's recent demotion and mitigate the interim superintendent's disappointment. That's crazy, man. So here you have a cop, the interim superintendent, who's doing the right thing, being knocked out the box from receiving a promotion, becoming the superintendent that he or she should have rightfully became, because these two people are involved in an improper, illicit relationship and they conspired to prevent the interim superintendent from becoming the permanent superintendent, because this interim superintendent won't turn a blind eye and let them slide for the misconduct that they're doing. Vappy lied to federal agents who interviewed him about, among other things, the true nature of his relationship with the mayor. This is page 16 of 45. The mayor concealed and withheld documents responsive to a federal grand jury subpoena that would reveal the true nature of her relationship with Vappy. Cantrell provided an affidavit containing false statements to the grand jury about whether she withheld responsive documents from production and the reasons for her failure to produce materials in response to the July 18th subpoena. Cantrell lied to the grand jury about the completeness and accuracy of the records she produced in response to the July 18th subpoena. Not good, man. Not good. Peace.